Welcome to Coffee, Eggs and Inspiration, and you're joining me today in the lovely Cotswolds in the UK, a wonderful countryside. And this week I'm going to be joined by Samantha Lissington, who's an Olympic contender with the New Zealand equestrian team, professional horse rider. Let's go. Welcome to Coffee, Eggs and Inspiration, coming to you today from the Cotswolds?
Yes.
Oxfordshire?
Yes. Ascot under Wychwood.
Ascot under Wychwood. And I'm joined by the wonderful Samantha Lissington. Say hi. Sam is a professional equestrian rider who's just recently moved to the UK.
Yep.
But a fellow Kiwi.
Yes.
So we have that in common. So what brought you here?
Basically horses. So in New Zealand I rode from a young age, from about 10, and we've always watched the likes of Mark Todd on TV, going and doing great things like the Olympic Games.
Sir Mark Todd?
Sir Mark Todd, I
Sir
stand
Mark Todd.
corrected. Yes, so we've always seen our idols branch off, go overseas and then conquer the world. So that was the vague plan in coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why England? Why is that such a popular route? Because New Zealand's well known for its horses as well.
Yes, it is. It's just popular, I think, in its location and the history of eventing and of horses in England. Like, it goes back so far. It's so far ingrained, and there's such an industry around it.
Right.
And you have access to all the European events right on your doorstep.
Right.
Whereas New Zealand's very isolated. So to do anything is quite hard to get to big championship events, and we also don't have, whilst we have really quality riders, we don't have the quantity.
Right.
So you have a small group of good riders, but you need to be over here to prove yourself and to see where you stack up against the rest of the who's everybody's and somebody's.
So sort of competing in a bigger pool, bigger
Yep.
stage, all
Yep.
that sort of stuff.
Yep. Everything's just bigger, grander, but New Zealand is a great development for the riders coming over. Like, it does a great job of producing riders who then can go on to compete internationally.
Right. So what are the things that help produce good riders in New Zealand? Why are they good?
I think a few things. Our courses are usually really up to scratch. Like, they're quite tough. The cross country, which thinks that sets us in good stead for being gutsy cross-country riders. And I think the Kiwi culture is very much just a get on, get it done, go do it type of vibe, and so we have that ingrained from a young age from Pony Club. I think that sets us out well, as we go on, and we develop a lot of resilience through that. So we don't have usually large amount of funds to do everything, so you kind of just mix it together and end up riding a large variety of horses and learning to ride well. And I think also, funnily enough, the isolation, being so far away, it's such a massive challenge to come over here to the UK or to go to Australia, go whatever, that you've already had to sacrifice so much to get here that you're just 100% committed.
Yeah. It's literally burning the bridges, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not all been plain sailing, has it?
No.
Has it? You had quite a severe injury at one stage. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I broke my pelvis. So it was just a freak accident, as we all, as horse riders say, but it was I was riding a horse, trialling one for someone, and the horse was very sweet and had not done anything like that before, but for whatever reason we just didn't click in that one moment in time, and so it reared up backwards, and then its wither, so the bony part that connects the neck and the body, landed here on my pelvis. So that
So you were underneath the horse.
yeah, so it landed like backwards, like here, and then it rolled off this way, and so I was lying on my bad side in Taupo, waiting for the ambulance to arrive, which was like the longest 20 minutes of my life, waiting for that. And yeah, so it turns out I had broken it. I got airlifted to Rotorua Hospital, and then it was such a funny thing because I was in denial the whole time.
Doesn't sound funny.
I knew I'd done something really serious, yet my in the moment brain was in complete denial that anything wrong, seriously like long term wrong had happened. Like I was like, guys, someone might have to just ride my horses tomorrow, like just and I'll be back the next day. Like it was just funny how I knew something was really bad. I knew I needed an ambulance, but yet I thought I'd be back riding in 2 days' time.
Right, and it wasn't quite like that. So you broke your pelvis quite badly.
Yeah. So we got it plated and put back together, and then I was about 4 months off a horse. The day I had already booked a trip to the UK, and the day I was off crutches, I flew to the UK and still did the trip anyway. So I came and stayed with Jock Paget and got to experience a number of the events over here. I was really lucky that Jock took me to a bunch of the really high profile events. So I got to have a little taste of it, walk the courses, see what it's all about, and then flew home after 6 weeks and then went on to keep aspiring to come over with horses later on.
Amazing. And how long ago was that?
That was 2013.
2013.
Yeah.
So we're 2021
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Couldn't walk for a while.
Yeah.
Then you walked and then you went around
Yeah.
on crutches
Yeah.
and then eventually got back in
Yeah.
the saddle,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like the saying goes.
Yep.
And but then made the huge decision to cut the ties and sort of bet the farm, so to speak.
Yep.
And you came over with horses,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How many?
And we came over with 4, which was definitely not the plan. We actually had a few unusual circumstances coming over. We nearly got done over by a con artist, which was just an interesting addition to the story, which is why we actually ended up with 4 on the plane instead of the 2, because we were kind of committed, and then we were like, you know what, let's just do it. So I brought 4, and yeah, I mean, it's good that I did bring the 4 because I've been able to cram in a huge amount of experience in a shorter space of time. So I could have just come over with 1, but actually I think I would have been twiddling my thumbs, and there's a lot of pressure then on that 1 horse for you to go out and perform, whereas with the more horses I could get out there, get competing, once a week or every other weekend, and get much more experience into the UK way of doing things in a shorter space of time. So it's really good. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And for those who may not be familiar with 3-day eventing, can you describe how it works?
Sure. So there's 3 phases: dressage, show jumping, and cross country. You do all 3 phases on the same horse. So the closest human sport is the triathlete. So you need a horse that's good in all 3 areas, as opposed to really good at one area and not so good in the other ones. So dressage is all about harmony and suppleness. You follow a set movement, kind of like in a grid pattern, and every horse for that level does the same test, and then you get scored as to your accuracy and the way of going and the harmony with the horse. So you actually end up with a score, the lower the better. And it's a little bit of an unusual scoring system because you basically go your percentage. So you might get like 70% is quite a good test, would give you a 30.
Right.
So you start the weekend on a 30. And then you go on to the show jumping, which is the one over coloured poles. And you just basically jump and clear, so you don't get marked on style or anything like that.
You have a time limit as well, though,
Yes,
don't
you
you?
do. Yeah. And some courses will be a tighter time than others, and time is much more influential as you go up the levels than it is at the lower levels. And then you have cross country, which is over solid obstacles in a field, where you're tested on bravery.
Yeah.
And the show jumping is more about carefulness, and the cross country is about bravery and accuracy, and as you go up the levels it gets more and more technical.
Yeah.
It's pretty big and tough at the top level.
Somewhere over there.
Somewhere over that way. Yeah.
Talk about bravery. So you've been competing today.
Yep.
In a competition. The dressage is sort of about harmony. You say very controlled, slow, almost like, to my eye anyway, like sort of ballet or some sort of choreographed movement. And
if we got it to ever look like ballet, we'd be winning. Yeah.
And you had, I think, one down on the
Yes.
show
Yeah.
jumping,
Yep.
and then the cross country. We were watching you come into a sort of staircase.
Yes,
thing.
that was the only one I rode terribly on the whole course, and you happened to be there. But yes. Yeah.
Well, I've got a shot of it, so
Oh,
I'll
no.
put it so, when did you arrive? Just remind me when-
Nearly 2 years ago now,
Nearly
although
2
it doesn't feel that long because we've had COVID, which has interrupted the vast majority of that time.
So we're June 2021. You
So
arrived
2019.
2019, and then COVID came along in March 2020.
Yes. And so we had a short burst of the season, which was from like July when they started competing through until October, when
Yep.
the season was over. And then we didn't really get another season from then.
And of course, the Olympics were
Yeah.
deferred.
Yes, deferred, yes, to this year. So we are right in the midst of it at the moment. And we've actually ended up quite high on the list, which is quite exciting.
Very exciting. So tell me about that. You're a contender for the New Zealand Olympic
Yes,
team.
we are, yeah. And we have a final selection event next weekend. And it'll be decided after then, basically. Yeah.
So how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, excited. Excited. I'm on a lovely horse. I'm very lucky to ride him. And
The horse is Sooty, isn't it?
yeah. Sooty. He's half owned by a New Zealand lady called Pip McCarroll.
Yeah.
And he is a delight. He's a total delight. And basically, he is amazing. I just have to make sure I ride him well, and he does a fantastic job, which is a very lucky position to be in.
So if you get in, you and Sooty will be off to Tokyo.
Yes, yep. We
When?
have a quarantine that starts around about the 10th of July for the horses, pre-export quarantine, and then they fly somewhere around the 18th, 19th of July, and then the competition is at the end of July through until the first couple of days of August.
Amazing. And if not Tokyo, then Paris, I think,
Yes,
is next, right?
Paris at 2024, which is actually not that far away, and even closer than that, there's the World Equestrian Games, which is being run in Rome next year.
And you're competing pretty much. How many events would you do each week or each month?
So we're usually competing like once or twice a week.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's a lot.
Once or twice, so 100 competitions more or less a year.
Yeah,
Well,
although we have the
there's a
off season.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but during the on season we're really full on, and then during the off season we'll take a break for a bit.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
There's a mouse going on.
Yeah, that's mouse.
Out of frame, a horse called Easter Star. Well, that's the show name.
Yeah.
It's like a stage name.
I know.
Easter Star. Easter Star. But Mouse is the stable name, I guess.
Well,
you could say.
otherwise we'd have 100 Craigs, wouldn't we? you need a show name.
Of course you need a show name. Well, fantastic. Really, the best of luck for the selection.
Thank you.
You're an inspiration.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me.
Very good.